We're at the end of turn 3's Viet Minh movement phase, December of 50. The landscape's changed a little bit. Instead of worrying about Hanoi, pulled some forces back here that were out of supply before. Out of supply units have their attack halved, or their combat halved if they attack, but they can defend at full strength. Over here, they're definitely threatening Nam Dinh, potentially Haiphong as well. Spreading themselves out a little bit, maybe in trouble of losing all their friendly communities, but if they can get that, maybe that won't matter as much. And that's a political objective, so that's a 30-point hex plus potentially 5. Either that one or that one's worth 5 points. I don't know which one it is, but all the fighting up there kind of went bust. So we'll take a look at this. We'll see what the French do. They, spent all their replacements bringing guys in here and rebuilding guys in here. They can react out of here, leaving this 10-point hex alone. We'll see what they do. And instead of trying to take out these units, possibly individually, they just brought everyone in here, brought a couple reinforcements in there, and they're going to try to threaten the rear here. They'll bring a couple more forces to bear in here. So Hanoi's not off the hook. There's potentially, 18 or 20 in here, possibly. Although we know 2 of those units are out of supply. One's a trench, one's an out of supply marker. So maybe there's only 7 in there. So maybe that's not a threat. Is it worth finding out though? Probably not. These guys are all DG'd. So yeah, I'll bring a couple more forces to bear right there and threaten the rear right there, and we'll move into attrition and operations. So one of the things I don't know if I've mentioned yet that comes into play in situations like this pretty heavily when you're kind of under siege. In combat, if the defender takes a hit, at least one hit, they can choose to retreat to negate the hit. However, if the attacker isn't DG'd at the end of the attack, and I think it's the defender is. Yeah, if the attacker's not DG'd and the defender is, they take an additional step for standing fast. So that can get especially brutal, especially bloody in situations like this where they have to stay there. That's a 35-point hex potentially. They can't leave. So it's come into play a couple times where the last attack, the attacker was DG'd, but they're potentially losing 3 steps every turn if they take, like right now it's 3-1 if the Viet Minh use Bolshevik spirit. Maybe they're taking 3 steps for staying in there too. It's 2 up here, even right here they're losing 2 either way, and then 1 more for staying there if the attacker's not DG'd. We're here, they have 2 things to do right now, and then 1 more after that. and they'll have 2 more things to do. And here's the situation around Nam Dinh. It was about to fall. There were 4 strength points in there. The French brought some guys in. That helped out. An overrun was tried here. It was terribly unsuccessful. But the victory points were at 58. So the Viet Minh can probably just hunker down if they so choose. And just wait it out. That's probably what's going to happen. They'll continue going. They have another 7 step losses to take before it gives the French any more victory points. So one thing during setup that I want to talk about, there's a bunch of units out here, and I think they're just supposed to stay there. They could come in and they can be in supply just like these units, but they stay in supply out here. I think pretty much as long as they're in a community. I think they're just there to have a force there so that the TD units can't just come in and take over the Highlands. So to me it made sense. It's only 10 points, and it probably would have taken most of the TD units out of the fighting to do that, but maybe for 10 points it's worth it. And some of these, like this one, that's 10 points by itself, and then along with the Highlands community. So I just kind of left a lot of those guys there. So he's just hanging out. So we'll continue here in Nam Dinh and see how it plays out. And we're right back. I just wanted to mention, thinking about things to do with the French. When the objective phase was kicking off, you have to spend one of your supply dumps to do all of the things you want to do, and all of the forces were around Hanoi. Hanoi is where the French spent. Their supply dumps have 0 movement. The Viet Minh have 6. So I think the Viet Minh supply dump started there and made its way down. During movement, it I think got in here and then moved down here via operations. So that puts the French in a tough spot. They were attacking here with the unit that was stacked here, but they needed the defense here. So this hex can't do anything because it's not within the supply dumps spending range. So that really limits them. But at the same time, there's enough defense in there. There's max 2 attacks left coming. So that would take the most that can be taken is 6 steps, and there's more than 6 steps in there. So now that I think about it, Nam Dinh is going to be safe. Can wear some more units out to get victory points that way, but that city is not going to fall during this game. But what can the French do in this position? Probably not much. And we'll see what the Viet Minh have up their sleeve. We are at the end of operations. And to end the game, you still do the attrition, or the supply check, which puts these guys out of supply since their supply dump was exhausted, fueling that operation. Now we do basically an attrition phase, then a movement phase, and then another supply check. So these guys are all immediately going to take a step loss. Excuse me. It's not up on me. So these guys are all hurt. I don't know that this is going to matter terribly much, but we'll do this stack just to show it. Oh, that's going to be 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that gives 4 points up here. So the French are going to get some points out of this. 5, it looks like. We do the same thing here. And now these guys have movement. So they're going to pull back here. They'll get within supply. During the supply check, they'll be fine. The French don't have anything to worry about. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So that puts this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that gives the French 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that'll be it. We're at 63 points. That is a decisive Viet Minh victory, largely due to that right there. They did get some hexes that were worth victory points. There and there. Also the Delta, 10 points, really helped them out. And the historical outcome was 65, so we're right there. That's really cool. So that is Cao Bang. Scenario number 1, the disaster at RC4, which I believe is this. Yeah, it's this road right here of Tonkin.